Welcome to A Spiritual Lens, a podcast dedicated to seeing the world not just as it appears, but as it truly is. A spiritual lens is where we will begin to unpack profound insights, helping you to look beyond the surface and discover the underlying truths that shape our lives. If you've ever felt there's more to life than what meets the eye, you've found your community. Join us as we learn to see the world and ourselves through a spiritual lens. Here's our instructor, Omari Jahi.
All right. Good morning. I'm Omari Jahi, and we will be delivering your spiritual teaching on today. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad there's some people still probably trying to sign on, but today we will look into what is called free will. Is free will free, y'all, or do we pay a price to have free will? I guess the first question we have to ask ourselves is, what is free will? I know many of us think we already know what it is, but let's just look at the definition anyway. It says free will is when human beings have the capacity, what is it? And I lost my place here. Okay, I'm sorry. Free will is when human beings have the capacity to choose our actions and make decisions that can genuinely affect our lives rather than being forced by external forces. So again, free will is just basically, I guess, freedom of choice. That's what free will is all about, having the freedom to choose. But now, do we really have the freedom to choose, y'all? I want to ask a question. Do we have freedom of choice? Everything in our lives, from our birth to our death, has been laid out for us by God. Now, if God has laid everything out for us from birth to death, where does free will or choice fit into all of that? And I know some of you guys, y'all probably like, you making that up. That ain't got, who said that God ordained everything or planned everything out for us from the time we are born to the time we die? That's just you talking. Well, now I asked this other question that I'm sure you have to agree with me on, because God exists outside time, and he knows the entire past, present, and future. Nothing can happen that he has not foreseen or ordained. Now, this is our God, right? So if he lives outside of time and we live inside of time, and he's seen everything from past, present, and future, then what makes you think that he has not ordained the things that go on in our life to fit inside of his plan? Because he does have a plan for humanity, and we all can agree on that as well, that he has a plan for humanity. And his plan is perfect. And everything that happens, good or bad, is ultimately part of that divine plan, even if we don't understand it. So if God has a divine plan, it's almost just like a script writer or a playwright. If he writes the script and everybody plays their part and says their lines and things of that nature, all the way from the beginning of the play to the end of the play, then all of those people inside of the play are within the wheel of the playwright, the person that wrote the play. Now, I'm not trying to compare human existence to a play, but I'm just trying to give you something to be able to see what I'm saying by that God has a plan for humanity, and he has planned it out. He didn't share his plan with none of us. We are just playing a role in his plan. So what makes us think then that in the roles that we are playing, that we are not in actors, I guess I would call it, or that this thing that we are considering today, free will, doesn't really exist. Because God is not random. Life ain't random. And our loving God is in complete control of everything that's going on. Even though we look at the situations in the world, we look at Trump, we look at the government shutting down, we look at all of these things, we look at the murders, the killing that's going on in the Black community, we look at everything that's going on, and we wonder to ourselves, why does God allow this? What is, and it's almost just like, now check this out. As parents, maybe we should look at this like this. As parents, we are supposed to guide and direct the lives of our children from the time that they are born to the time that they become an adult and they leave your house and they live on their own, pay their own bills. Now, that's my definition of adult. There's some 30, 40-year-old people still staying at home, living in their mama's basement and things of that nature. That's not grown to me. That's just old. You grew old. But responsibility, having responsibilities is the thing that predicates whether you have evolved from an adolescent, teenager, adolescent into an adult. Responsibilities. Having them and meeting those responsibilities. That's the thing that differentiates between children and adults. And with that being said, then even as grown adults, there are decisions that we make in our lives every day. And I'm sure we believe that those decisions are our decisions to make, and we consciously, in our own minds, thought about these things and came to a conclusion and made the decision on many different topics and subjects. I got another question for you. Check this one out. Can free will exist in a universe governed by cause and effect? Now, some of us don't even know what cause and effect really is. We've heard it. Now, if you tuned in last Saturday, we were discussing cause and effect, and we connected it to a scripture in the Bible that speaks of cast your bread among the waters, in many days it'll come back to you. Meaning that whatever you put out, you get back. Now that's not cause and effect, but it's the same process. Cause and effect is more or less, again, this principle that states that everything that we do in our life, there was something that preceded it that caused that to happen. See, cause and effect is an idea that every event in your life is the necessary and inevitable result of a prior cause or prior event. Now, here's an argument. Every event has a cause, right? Humans choose, humans' choices are events. Therefore, human choices are caused. If they are caused, that they aren't free. If everything that we do, the choices we make, were caused by something, and if those choices that we made were caused, then there's no freedom there. Because when you cause something to happen, freedom of choice is nowhere in the picture because something caused it. I got a feeling that y'all still ain't getting me. So let me give you an example like this. All right, y'all seen these images of when they set up dominoes in a little row in a line, And then you push the first domino and it goes into the second domino, into the third domino, and they all start falling. Now, the first domino is the domino that caused the last domino to fall. Just think about this. If you never push the first domino, does the last domino fall? No, it doesn't. The first domino pushing the other dominoes, causing the other dominoes to fall, I should say, is the cause that inevitably causes that last domino to fall. Okay, you can look at it like this. Let me give you another example. Imagine you were walking into a vending machine. You're in a hospital or whatever, and you walk to a vending machine to get a drink. You freely choose cola over the water. Now, most of us would perceive that to be a choice. We would think that we went to that vending machine, we looked at what the vending machine had to offer, and we chose the cola. Put our money in there, pushed the button, and the cola came out, right? Remember the dominoes now. Our choosing the cola was the last domino. But do we know what the chain of events that took place before we stood in front of that vending machine to make a decision to purchase a cola? Do we know what that chain of events that happened before that caused the first domino to fall, which led to us standing in front of that vending machine choosing a cola? Do we know what those events were? No, because we don't think like that. We're not even comprehending anything like that. We don't even look at or understand. Like, let's just look at it like this. What if that first domino were our parents? And our parents, now this is an event in our life, and our parents both love cola, right? Now, the fact that our parents both love cola and they have a child, you would think that because that child grew up in an environment where their parents were drinking cola, and probably there were other people in the family, they were having events and things of that nature, and at all the events, the main beverage was cola because the parents loved cola, right? Now, let's say that's the first domino that begins this chain that we're referring to of events that led up to you standing in front of the vending machine selecting a cola. That's the first domino. Now, what's the second domino? You were born with a brain that gets a bigger reward or a bigger hit from sugar and caffeine than other people, you know. Again, because of mom and dad, we love that sugar rush or that cola kick that you get from that cola. And this is something that's inherently passed on to us through our genes and our DNA, right? So now we got your parents is one event. The second chain in that event is the fact that your parents pass this on to you, this love, or maybe I shouldn't say love, but this need for caffeine and sugar. And I'm sure they fed it to you as you were growing up, right? So now what's the third domino? All your life, you've seen all these advertisement TV commercials of cola. You already like cola. Your parents like cola. So when those advertisements come on TV, or if you see them in a magazine, if you're walking down the street as this image and you happen to see it on a big billboard, it catches your attention. It's something like this. You know, in 2016, I bought a Hyundai Tucson. Now, before I purchased that Hyundai Tucson, you know how you can, for some reason, whenever you get a new car, all of a sudden you see a whole bunch of cars like yours on the street. But before that, you wasn't really paying that much attention to. But, now I got a Hyundai Tucson, and I'm driving down the street, and I see one behind me. I see one in front of me. I turn the corner. There's one parked. You start to see them all over the place. You see, because of this attraction of something that you like, that I had to like the Hyundai Tucson because I purchased it, right? So these advertisements catch our attention, and this is the third domino that begins to fall. One, again, your parents love it. Two, you are genetically inherit this desire or liking for sweets and caffeine, or that kick, as I say, that cola gives you. Now, what's the fourth domino? Let's look at the situation of you being tired. You didn't sleep that well the night before. Your blood sugar is a little low, and you skip breakfast. So you kind of wore out. Again, if you're in the hospital, say you're visiting a friend or whatever, and you're sitting there and you kind of, let's say you've been there all night. That's why you didn't really get that much sleep, because those chairs and couches or whatever in those hospital rooms aren't very comfortable at all. And so maybe you didn't get that much rest. You got a crick in your neck. All these things are going on. Now, just the fact that you didn't get any sleep and your sugar is low and you didn't eat breakfast, so that means you're hungry and you got a taste for something, or you need something to build your energy up. And so it then moves on to the fifth one. Now you're standing in front of the vending machine. You felt the desire for something sweet and caffeinated because you're tired, right? And you need something to pick you up. So now you're standing there. Now look at all of these chains of events that took place that lead you to this vending machine. And then last but not least, you pick a cola, not a water, because the water ain't gonna give you what you need in the moment, right? So here's a whole chain of events. Now we could stand here and say, I chose the cola, but we don't realize that there is all of these events that took place in our life that caused this to happen. Now I know a lot of people ain't gonna really understand this. People ain't gonna get this probably for 5 or 10 years later. Somebody gonna figure this out, what I'm saying and what I'm teaching here. And as I always say, some white man gonna probably write a book about it. These change, they probably already have, knowing them, and so the thing is, stop looking at yourself as a loser. You are only that because you have been made to believe that, because of your choices that you made in your life. So that's supposed to indicate that you're a loser because of the choices that you made in your life. But that's not true, because if we really don't have choices, are you really a loser? We are only playing the hand that we are dealt. But as you improve your understanding of this game called life, you can remove bad and unhealthy habits. We can remove those things. And see, and when we remove bad and unhealthy habits, we begin to change things for the better for our legacy. Because see, this thing is always has been and always will be about legacy. Most of us think that life is about us. No, because our life is nothing but a stepping stool for those to come to step on that's coming from behind us. That's in the future. Like my son, because of the decisions that I make in the present in my life, he'll have either a good step or a bad step to use in order to catapult himself and our legacy, our generation, our family legacy up a notch. And if we're not looking towards the future to give them a better opportunity to be greater than what we were or what we are, then we find ourselves in a vicious cycle. A circle going around and around and around and around. But breaking those habits can only be achieved if you make these changes before you have children. Now we got about nine more minutes before we have to get out of here. So in these 9 minutes, I want to speak to you why the statement that I just made, why you have to, in order for you to, I guess what it's called, break these cycles or break these habits that we obtained over the years and inherited over the years. In order to break these things, you have to do it before you have children. And I said that because most people don't know that when a man is performing sexual intercourse with a woman and he gets to the point where he's about to ejaculate, his sperm leaves his testicles. It goes up the spine into the brain, which is the nervous center of the whole body, and it takes a picture of your mind. And if you are a low down, dirty dog type of dude, and as they say in the streets, you just want to hit, and that's all you about, hitting it and quitting it, then that chemical thought process is transferred to your sperm, and when it goes back down your spine into your testicles, out of your penis into the womb, then that child is this is how the child inherits a lot of character traits of the father, and from the egg, the mother, the same thing. The character traits of the mother is in the eggs of her womb. And so when you put these character traits together and they give birth to a single child, that one child that comes out have the character traits of both mother and father. And having these character traits, we then begin to again repeat the cycle of past events and past experiences without us even knowing it, because we don't really have conversations with our parents to determine, well, how did you grow up? Where did you meet mom? And how did y'all meet? And did you have any girlfriends in high school? You know, did you play sports? What did you, we don't have these kind of conversations with our parents, and I encourage us to do so, because when you do, that's when you begin to identify these patterns that I'm talking about in these cycles. And I'm gonna tell you one that's in my life. And just share mine. We got about 6 more minutes? Yeah. I think I can get this out in 6 minutes. I had a conversation with my father, many conversations as I was growing up. And in those conversations, he would share with me that my mother wasn't his first wife. He was married to another woman before my mother. Her name was Grace. And I don't remember. He might have told me, but I don't remember how long they were married. But this woman and my father didn't have children. I don't know why. Maybe she couldn't have children. That's a possibility. It had to be a possibility. Or they just wasn't having sex. I doubt that too. But for some reason, During the period of their marriage, they didn't have any children. They got divorced, and my father married my mother. Now, when he married my mother already had a child, an older son, an older brother. He was already born. And so my father married my mother and basically adopted my brother. He didn't really adopt him because at that time they couldn't afford the price of adoption, but they did look into it. He wanted to adopt him. And so as they grew old, not grew older, but as they moved on in life, my father's first child was me. He had a son, which was me. And then his second child was my sister, a girl. So now let's just stop right there. Now let's move to my generation, the present. Now that was the past, right? Now here in the present, I was married to a woman just like my father, before my wife that I'm married to now, and we didn't have any children. We were married for 18 years, no children. Now, after we got divorced, and I married my present wife, guess who my wife gave birth to? A boy, just like me. How my mother gave birth to me from my father. His first child was a boy. My first child was a boy. And also my wife had a child when I met her. But her child wasn't a male, it was a female. She had a 14 or 15 year old child already when I married her. And so if you can see the coalition of what happened to my father in the past and what happened to me was happening to me in the present. Now, what do you think's going to take place in my son's life? Now, that's the future. It hasn't happened yet. But I can tell the future. You know why? Because I know cycles. And if you understand life cycles, and if you have the information, like I had the information from my father, you're able to follow the little breadcrumbs that lead us to be able to predict and see the future. Now, in my lifetime, I've gained a great deal of understanding about life. And there's a belief that I may be changing some things. I may have changed some things in this cycle. You know, I don't know. The only way I'll be able to determine that is I have to watch my son play that whole thing out. I'm watching. You see what I'm saying? He has a girlfriend right now. Beautiful young lady. You know, I believe at some point they might even get married. I believe so. You know, and if they do, I would be all for it because I think this young lady is a beautiful young lady. And I've met her mother. Seems like she's a very intelligent young lady. She's I mean, I like her mother. You know, and so I have to watch this thing now. But why am I saying all this to you? Because we're talking about in the last minute that we got here. We're talking about free will. If we get out of the mindset and thinking that we're free and begin to stop trying to make things happen, if we get out of that, mindset, your mind, God has already placed them there, or He's placed somebody in your life that suggested them to you. So when you begin to go through these things, Don't look at this thing as if it's something that you're making happen. What you need to look at is not not what is happening in your life, but why are these things happening in your life? What are the lessons that you are supposed to learn from these things? And when you take that approach in your life, like I'm saying, I'm watching my son, I'm watching to see if the cycle reappears or did I break it? And then if it does reappear, then I have to share my story with my son. You see what I'm saying? So that he can break the cycle before he has a child. With that being said, that's my time, y'all. So I thank you guys for listening. We'll be back next Thursday. We'll be talking about some other profound subject matter. I don't know. I normally try to choose a subject and put it out there so people can know what we're going to talk about before Saturday comes. But God has a way of waiting until Friday night or early Saturday morning when I wake up to give me a subject to talk about. And so I'm going to wait on the Lord to give it to me. And so I pray that you guys share this video, follow us, our Spiritual Lens Facebook page, and our channel on YouTube, and help us to spread the word that there's a way that seems right to a man, but through a spiritual lens, you'll be able to see things as they actually are and make moves, like I was saying earlier, to be able to make some adjustments in the things that God has planned for us. With that, I thank you all for listening. I leave you as I greeted you in peace. Love you guys.
Our time together has come to an end, but the journey continues. Thank you for holding this space with us and for being an essential part of the Spiritual Lens podcast. As we go our separate ways for now, I ask that you carry the energy of this conversation with you. If you feel inclined, please share this podcast with someone who may find value in it, and continue the conversation with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel. We hope you will join us again in this space next Saturday at 11 a.m. Until then, be well and strive for peace of mind.